I am going to talk about this because I feel like, and I know that it is when we can feel holy, WHOLLY, in gratitude to all of our experiences, that we can embody of the highest vibrations, of the highest spaces, of the highest frequencies, sure. It's just also feelings. There's a lot there, okay? But if you would like to experience those spaces, right, we have to clear. We have to clear. Again, remember, binds are cleared here. Portal, heart, we access. Knowing here, darling, process it. You make decisions. You do. You do, darling. And whom else? What else? Good questions. Okay? Take those with you. Knapsack. Yeah. All right. It is a fact. It is a fact that growing up and that in my family, I want to say only paternally, but perhaps maternally that I don't know of, right? It is all dependent on how your particular family, if you were dealt the cards of having people around you that are your family or that nurture you in your growth process, one way or another, right? Not talking about the gradient of the nurture, the particular type of nurture. It's nurture regardless. I want you to know that it is my opinion. If you were neglected in a certain way as a child, that is still your nurture, my dear. Because your nature might have been one, and then when the nurture happened in that manner, at that gradient, it could shift the way that you, again, that you perceive things, that you perceive yourself. Okay. So it is a known thing in my family that the men in my family, and I don't even want to say just the men so generally, because when we talk about men or women, when we talk about people, it's important to understand that we have both types of energies within us. Okay? And in my opinion, in my masterful expert opinion, darling, okay? You are on assignment to embody one energy over the other. Now, usually it is my experience that the energy that you are meant to be embodying in this lifetime has to do with the energy that is not naturally easy to embody for you. Does that make sense? So I'll give you an example, okay? Back to the males in this case in my family, but it very well again could be females who are meant to take on these demons that were carried through the lineage of those, again, that perhaps were being called to heal and get to that divinity of masculinity, let's say, right? And it could be a woman in my either paternal or maternal side again. It could be a woman, right? That's just naturally meant to be in a more commanding, leading, perhaps. I'm getting like very sergeant Sargental. Is that alrighty? Growing up, I knew that my grandfather, I knew this growing up because I was told it in storytelling, through storytelling, and a lot of it through experiencing it firsthand, being a witness to my grandfather, not so much my grandfather being a witness to me to him, but storytelling for my grandfathers, but for my father, it was moments where it was just viscerally felt and understood um, my position in their world, right, as a woman, which was not to me were they um, ever sexually inappropriate in a physical sense, but in a in a by the way, y'all, communicating vulnerabilities like this, and vulnerabilities not as weaknesses, but as, again, parts of the gradient that are tough to come to surface, that are resistant, I'm getting. Okay? It's the resistance is normal, is what I'm understanding. So, but when you're, again, when you're called, right? When you feel like you need to do something, you do it regardless. But again, check yourself, please. Use discernment. Discernment. It was known that they were of the cheating type, of the very macho-ish type, but in the sense of like, I know everything. I'm big, you're small. Very, very such as that. Now, my grandfather on my paternal side towards me was of the sweetest type, Pisces sun, a star. Okay. Now, to his in his romantic relationships, I don't know how he was, but it is my understanding that in his earlier years, he was a toughie, loving, control loving, probably also sex addict. I'm just gonna go right ahead. Okay. I was, again, and this leads me to my father now, right? So with my father, you know what? I just, okay, I'm not. With my father, also, it was, ooh, thanks. It was very clear to me that women were seen as possessions to him, is what I'm getting. That women were valued mainly for their sexual energy more than, right? So, in the eyes of man, a woman is valued more when she is in her sexual energy than when she is in her wit or in her charm. Okay? And very light and dark but divine feminine energies. It was more uplifted, a toxic type of unevolved feminine. That is where the admiration was. Okay? For all of the alphas, let me retract. Thank you, God. For the backspace button, awesome. Thank you, God. Not all of the alpha males in my life, not all of the people around me. but most of them, and at least in my figurative. Wow, y'all. Intensities. Also, my relationship with my mother was an interesting one because of this, right? They viewed women a certain way, and it reflected onto me like, oh, I'm this way naturally. This is not the right way to be. Thanks, guys. And I people pleased my way into being, and moment to moment reciting, reflecting back to them a version of myself that wouldn't make them uncomfortable, that wouldn't make them scoff, that wouldn't make them perplexed. Because, darling, when you are a special star, perplexed the looks. Okay? Let's be honest. But that's fine. As you experience more and more of that, guess what? It becomes easier to just remind yourself. It becomes easier to remind yourself that that's fine if they don't understand you. That's okay. You as long as you know who you are, and again, discernment. Okay? I know it sounds a little weird, I feel like, to be like, I don't know if you really know who you are, or is who you are really, is who you think you are really who you are? Like, do we have to get into those questions? I feel like no. Just that's something that you are going to start planting within yourself and hopefully nurturing. Is the why am I getting the inquisition of self? I was so resistant to saying it, and I just felt like I had to. Wow. But inquisition from inquisitive, says who? Period. All right. Now back to my paternal line. All right. So directly from my father, right? I was being reflected again from him, an image of a woman that if she had value. Now, this is where it got a little bit weird, okay? Because my mother I actually had many of my mother's experiences from just her life. There were cycles that she went through, okay, karmic cycles that were somehow also linked, passed down to me to also surpass, as like almost like tests, right, for ascension. That's what a karmic cycle is, in my opinion, by the way. Anyway, yeah, all right. So I rejected my mother. I rejected my mother in my later years, like right before when was it? It must have been very formative years, I'd have to say. And any time that I didn't feel, I want to say, ooh, heard, understood. Interesting. This is the work, y'all. Okay, cool. But let's see, where do we want to go here? Yeah, so I don't feel as though I wasn't actually very safe to be in my feminine energy. That's what I was getting to. So, my natural feminine energy, my beautiful feminine energy, I was taught to give it in exchange for my relationship, I guess, or the person I was with. Like, there were only certain places that I could exert and be my light, bouncy, shiny self, right? And so it had to be in a safe place. And I found that place in a very long-term relationship that was beautiful, 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 beautiful. From the beginning, it was so special and so beautiful, a gift from the heavens, a godsend. But darling, this is where it gets a little tough because you're so young, right? And you don't know anything. Me, okay? You're so young at this, 16 years old. You don't know a thing about emotional intelligence. What is that? You've never even heard that before. You don't know anything about your paternal line of behavior patterns. You don't know anything about your maternal line of behavior patterns. You have not begun any work to the heart here, my dear, to access any sort of guidance. You've been taught none other than to look outward in your 3D for a male masculine figure to help guide you and to hold your hand because your intuition is wrong. You're the dummy one here. We're just going to keep like making jokes about you. Ha ha. Right? Exactly. Exactly the vibes. Okay? And so it is not until you, again, come back into, first of all, thank you, the awareness of where you're at, the awareness that there is other that you don't know, or just a pull, right? Sometimes it's just a pull. My hair is being pulled by the stars again. It's sort of like following the pull, but again, it's with code. When you do things with code, with spiritual law and human code in consciousness, right? To a certain extent in consciousness, and you start following, just allowing yourself to make choices that follow in, thank you, within those codes and those standards that you've set for your human self, for your human experience, boundaries. Okay? Let's jump. But yeah, the point is, my dears, and by sharing some of my personal story, is that you understand that it has been a journey. Who I am hates who I've been. And when you understand that, change can begin. Cool. All right. So if not, then awesome. If you do not hate anything about yourself, if you do not dislike anything about yourself, fucking awesome. Okay? I wish you, and I know that if that's the case, you're in your joyous, most beautiful space. Most likely also in divinity, or, getting there. Okay, darling. But in its gradient states. Blah, 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 blah. Why do I want to say blase, blah? I love it. Okay? Yeah, get curious about yourself. Get curious because as we move forward, you will start to notice more and more just how much your inner world really, really, truly, 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 truly reflects your outer world, my dear. I wish you all that is good and beautiful, all the best. Godspeed, my dears. I love you all. Bye. Literally, turning the camera off makes channeling so much easier. But again, it's recognizing, right? Why? The why. In a very physical 3D nurture. Hit the tip of my nose. Nurture sense. Okay, what happened? And what happened after that? Right? What was the effect of that and the cause of that? All right. Um the point that I really, really, truly wanted to get to is, I hear like little drums. Ah! Safety. I did touch on safety, but it was focused more on, yeah, just allowing yourself to step back into your full feminine energy. Being in a feminine luxe energy, my dear, and I say it with this fucking face on because you want to judge me for not being in this fucking energy, bitch? But you are a judgmental asshole. Bye. Oh my God. Y'all. The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. Again, the covenant that is made between spirits, but of self, because you are a spirit, my dear. Hi. Okay? Awareness, awareness, my dear. Okay? Mastery, control the reins of. Okay? Now, sometimes it's what I mean to say is sometimes it's your family. Sometimes it's the people around you that you continue to give chances to, and they continue to sincerely break your heart, my dear. Shatter it. Okay? Every time you trust, right? And again, so again, you have to get to a point if you want to be at peace. And also, just again, just this little note, side note. If you were not called here, or if this is not for you, then you can go. Really. Right. But learn to recognize when it is even someone that you love and that you wish it weren't this way with. Recognize that just as they were in a higher gradient at one point, are a different gradient than you back then, and now roles are seemingly shifting, always waving, as they will. And because you're more aware of it now, you can flow with it, and they can still, because perhaps some awarenesses aren't shared between the both of you in common, right? So there are some things that they may still not be able to meet you at, some depths they may not be able to meet you at. Thank you. All right. So, if need be, establish boundaries. Cleo Ross says what? Pillars, the pillar of severity? Pillars of severity? I mean, yes. Okay. I heard another teacher refer to boundaries for empaths as their superpower. The moment where they find their superpower, that's when they find their boundaries. Because you literally are like, no, the fuck, you're not, because I said so. And you stand on 10, on fucking 20, bitch. Look, it just, it gets to that point, you know? And as you evolve into yourself, it becomes more of allowing yourself, yes, to wear your heart on your sleeve, to be vulnerable when you feel to do so, right? When you feel that within yourself, that alignment to be in yourself moment to moment, you're never going to go wrong. You're never going to go wrong. Okay? So it's worth all the it's worth all the thought, and it's worth all the effort. And sometimes, my dear, it's not conscious thought or effort. It's just allowing yourself to open your mind and be like, you know what? The possibility exists for all. The possibility for anything exists, darling. What do I know? Right? Thank you. Thank you, air. Thank you, sky. Think what you want, but start there. Start there. It's gratitude. and allow yourself to be led into different situations. Make choices the best you can, my dear, moment to moment. And if you feel the will to do so, establish codes of integrity within yourself, and you will never go wrong, in my opinion. I love you all again. Okay. Safety and grace, coming back into your feminine energy. I know that's my practice from now into the rest of my life and for as long as I shall live. Okay, awesome.